Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
So check it out. The D6 Squad has merch now. We got hoodies, tees, mugs, whatever you need. Check it out. Link in the description. What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So first off, I'll come out and say I fell victim to this. The whole Ohio State quarterback thing about how they don't translate to the NFL. Now, he obviously hasn't made the NFL yet, and we'll see how that goes. But I was definitely a victim of it. I didn't think that he was a better prospect than Zach Wilson. And it was mostly because of that last week game where Trey Sermon pretty much took over that game. And Justin Fields did not look good at all. And they ended up winning in spite of him instead of because of him. And I'm saying if you're a top quarterback prospect, you have to be the driving force of your team. To me, it's just that simple. Trey Sermon was the driving force, and he was kind of the driving force yesterday. But Justin Fields, amazing day yesterday. 6 incompletions, 6 touchdowns. Like almost 400 yards. He might have crossed 400 yards. I didn't look at the box score, but I know the completions and the touchdowns are right. 6 incompletions and 6 touchdowns and an interception. And what a game. I mean, everybody expected Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick. The Jaguars just locked him up. The Jaguars fans are tuning in, live streaming from their channel saying, let's go Clemson. They're rooting for Trevor Lawrence. They're like, that's already our quarterback. He's going to go up and throw for 6 touchdowns and do his thing. But guess what? Justin Fields came in there with a chip on his shoulder. He came in there ready to play. He came in there to prove everybody wrong. And OSU came in there with that chip on their shoulder because no one really gave them a shot because after what happened to them last time. And, man, what a game. What a game he played. He really, really looked good. He was looking off safeties, launching it 50, 60 yards downfield. He looked good. They were also able to run the ball. OSU completely dominated this game all the way, like, back and front. They dominated this game. It wasn't really close in the trenches. And he had a clean pocket most of the night. And Trevor Lawrence was running around for his life most of the night. It's just that simple. One quarterback had a clean pocket. One quarterback didn't. And one quarterback won because he had that clean pocket. And the other quarterback ended up stalling out on way too many drives. And this should have been a shootout, but he couldn't get protection. And that's kind of what happens when you aren't protected. So Justin Fields came to prove people wrong. And I think he did. Now, I'm someone who had Zach Wilson over him. I kind of was a prisoner of the moment. I do think that Zach Wilson might have a little bit more of the raw tools as far as, the throwing off platform. I think he's a little bit better and more talented of a pure, like, throw from anywhere. But when you look at an overall quarterback prospect, I have to go with Justin Fields. He's probably more athletic than both of those other 2 quarterbacks running down the field. And, man, he showed some accuracy yesterday. He put a ball in between 2 people to his tight end in the end zone on a rope, like a laser throw. He came and played with supreme confidence, that kind of confidence he was playing with at the beginning of the season. And to do that against another quarterback in a big playoff game, I'm definitely taking note of that. All of this being said, Trevor Lawrence is still the number 1 pick. He's still the more talented prospect. He still, I think, will have a better career. But there are probably some questions as far as Trevor Lawrence in big games because that's the only teams he loses to. I mean, he lost a team as a freshman in high school in the state championship. He lost to LSU, but that was probably the greatest football team of all time in college. And then he lost to OSU, which is probably the more talented football team overall. So I'm not really that concerned. He's kind of dropped the ball the last 2 years, not winning these last 2 championships. But I'm not too worried. Trevor Lawrence is still 6'6", 3 inches taller than Justin Fields, and he can move almost as well as him. He doesn't really have that issue that most 6'6" quarterbacks have where they can't really move because they're too tall or not as agile. He's like a cat. He can throw from any platform. He can backpedal and do that Patrick Mahomes backpedal throw. He can run left and throw it, run right and throw it. he can pretty much do it all from the quarterback position, and he'll be able to do that on the next level. Give him some talent around him. I'm assuming that the Jaguars will probably take some kind of a receiving option in the first couple of rounds for him to go along with DJ Chark and the rest of the receivers they have there. Laviska Shenault. He's a really clean prospect other than this game yesterday and then probably LSU last year, which are really good teams. And he's going against other quarterbacks that are, Justin Fields is going to get picked number 2. Joe Burrow got picked number 1. So it's not like he's losing the scrubs. He's not the biggest reason that his team lost that game. It was really the defense by far. I can live with that. I'd still take Trevor Lawrence number 1, end of story, over every other quarterback and every other prospect in this entire draft. So let's start with the overreaction. Devontae Smith had another crazy good game yesterday, but let's stop with the overreaction and saying that all of these players that just had these good games this week are just all of a sudden surpassing everybody else that were already better prospects than them. If I kind of fell victim to this last week, but if you thought that Justin Fields at the beginning of this season was a better prospect, some people were saying that he was a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence at the beginning of this season. And now you're saying that he's not as good as Zach Wilson. I wasn't in that camp that thought he was the best, but he's back to number 2. All of the issues I had with him, he's clean. So if Trevor Lawrence wasn't here, he'd be the number 1 guy. It wouldn't be close. Zach Wilson has got a lot of great tools, but he's not the prospect that Justin Fields is, and I think that'll show on draft night. But let's not fall victim to what just happened in front of our eyes, because it's really easy to do that, and it's really easy to watch Zach Wilson go out there and throw flashy passes against much less competition than what Justin Fields just did. And there's no reason that Zach Wilson should get taken over him. I was someone who also said that the Jets should stay with Sam Darnold because I thought that it was a huge fall off after Trevor Lawrence. Now, it might still be a huge fall off after Trevor Lawrence. But at the end of the day, Justin Fields will give them an upgrade over Sam Darnold. He's incredibly accurate. He can move around, and he's going to give them a shot probably better than what Sam Darnold will. Sam Darnold, I think he'll land on his feet. He's really talented as well. But Justin Fields will give them a shot. He'll bring that new presence, and I think he'll bring a whole new vibe to that Jets team. And I hope that they take him. For the sake of the Jets, I hope they don't ruin him. That's basically what will happen. Either the young quarterback will get ruined like they ruined Sam Darnold, or he'll be able to turn that franchise around. Time will tell. Zach Wilson is not going to the Jets. I don't really think that. I thought that they would just stay with Sam Darnold, but Justin Fields proved a lot of people wrong. At the end of the day, Justin Fields proved a lot of people wrong. He showed that he was tough. He played through cracked ribs. He played through, at the end of the day, Justin Fields proved a lot of people wrong. He showed that he was mentally tough. He showed that he could show up in these big games. He's going to have a shot next week against Alabama to really establish himself as a serious big game quarterback. And I'm rooting for him. And he proved a lot of people wrong. He played through cracked ribs. He's physically tough. He's mentally tough. And I wish him luck if he finds himself on the Jets because he's going to need it. But Trevor Lawrence is still the number 1 pick. Let's relax, people. But Justin Fields is a good quarterback. So if you made it this deep into the video, I'm calling you a D6 squad member. If you're a D6 squad member, you got to hit that subscribe button. You got to turn on that notification bell. And listen, I make all kinds of content for NFL teams. So if you're not a Giants fan, don't worry. I'll cover your team. If I'm not covering your team, let me know. And have a good one.